Hello and welcome. Border-Gavaskar Trophy to India. Fourth consecutive series win against Australia. 2-1 in favour of India. And also they qualify for the World Test Championship Final. It's a full house to discuss this particular series, the positives, what India needs to do, where's the improvement needed, how do they analyze the series. As you can see on screen, Joydeep Mukherjee, Shubhan Chakraborty, Bharat Ramraj, Debashish Sen, and of course will be joining Atreya Mukhopadhyay, whose report you've just seen on all our Rev Sports platforms. Joydeep, to you first. Analyze the series. Lots of positives, but once again a series win will mean a lot to India.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a hard-fought one. This was no walk in the park. In this 2-1, it could easily have been 2-1 the other way. I think this one test match was a draw test match the moment we saw the wicket on day one. You needed one team to really play badly to lose this test match. But when one is playing two, nobody's going to play badly. It's not number one playing number 7 or 8. So both playing as well as they do. We spoke about 40% chance. Something might happen, but nothing happened. Absolutely flat. But overall, Australia will take a lot of heart out of this series because they came with one frontline spinner. And in the post-match interviews, they were saying that since Panesar and Swan, Rahul Dravid said, did this to India, there has been the first time some foreign team has come in as a spinning unit has got India on a corner. Generally, it's with one spin and you from the other end, you leak runs. But as a group, they were superb. So they'll take a lot of heart because these two spinners are on their first tour. Augurs well for Australian cricket. But totally different cricket awaits us in Oval. Totally different
conditions. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Devashish, the point that Joydeep just made. 2-0, India up. Everybody said 4-0. No chance to Australia. Thereafter happens Indore. They make it 2-1. And even in this particular test match, they fought and stopped India. 480 and even in the second inning. So it's been a good contest right through the series, which is good to see. Devashish said. We can't hear you.
Audio issue.
Is there an audio issue with Devashish? Still can't hear you. Maybe you can just rejoin Devashish while I go to Shubhan with this one. Shubhan, you take that one.
Oh, you listen to all the post match sessions with either with Rahul Dravid, Virat Kohli, Ravichandran Ashwin, and Ravindra Jadeja. They all have lauded Australia, and as Joydeep just said, Australia will have a lot of positives to take. But absolutely, this series was. So good to see Dan Turners, then flat pitches, the pitch talk. Whenever any team comes to India, there's a pitch talk that dominated the headlines again. But some good performances. It started with a Rohit Sharma century, ended with a Virat Kohli century. So happy smiles, happy faces everywhere. Ravichandran Ashwin Jadeja jointly named player of the series, deservedly so, and we can't ask for more. And this WTC Boria, I think it has given a context to Test cricket. Sri Lanka fighting with New Zealand. It was such a good and heartwarming month for Test series altogether.
Absolutely, Bharat. I mean that Kane Williamson dive was cheered by 1 billion Indians. I don't think Kane has ever received that kind of support in his lifetime. In fact, when that thing said not out or the green flashed on the screen, it was all of India cheering. But coming to this series, Border-Gavaskar Trophy, Joydeep mentioned Australia, Shubhan mentioned the positives for India. What was good and is important is Rohit Sharma, Rahul Dravid combined getting a big series win under their belt. Bharat Ramraj.
Yeah, from Rohit Sharma's point of view, this was a big series for him, obviously, to beat a team like Australia. And also, he led from the front, if you notice, in the first test. That pitch definitely helped the spinners enough, and he scored at 100, where he was looking to come forward at every given opportunity, and he went on to score a big 100. And when the captain leads from the front, obviously, it really lifts the side. And obviously, behind the scenes, Dravid also have done his job. So for them, it's a big series win. But obviously, World Test Championship Final is waiting in the wings. So,
now that we've got Atreya back, he's done a Usain Bolt and rushed to his hotel room so that his internet worked. Atreya Mukhopadhyay, well done. It's been an excellent
sweating.
Fingers crossed. I mean, right through the last 1.5 months, almost 1 month plus. You've done fabulously well from on ground and in your hotel rooms, managing internet, which was a new thing for you. So on behalf of everybody, a very, very good series for you as well. But thoughts, initial thoughts, you've seen it, been there, done that, happy with India's efforts?
Let me say first that I didn't do a Bolt, I did a Neil Wagner.
Ah, right.
Yeah, see, it was, I mean, I would say that from a cricket fans' point of view, the first three matches were a little disappointing. I mean, India winning and all that, India beating Australia and all that, it's fine. But test matches getting over inside 3 days, less than 3 days, was not a very good sight for a cricket fan. But having said that, it's been as you were discussing, that possibly the biggest series win for the Rahul Rohit combined, and it was an important win. Australia are definitely one of the better sides in the world. So to beat them so comprehensively was not a bad achievement. And I mean, I think we are going to see a very different Australia in England in a couple of months from now.
Okay, so let me get Devashish said if his audio is right. Devashish, comments on the series first before we move on to the WTC. Yes, you are audible. Yes, you are. Go for it.
Fantastic. Obviously, one would have expected India to win the series. Means, let's with due respect to Australia, one would expect, playing at home, spin-friendly wickets, we would expect India to win. And so so as expected, India won the series 2-1. But ideally, they would have loved to win it 3-1 or a 4-0 rather. But it will be a totally different ball game when it comes to oval, because conditions will be totally different. Means. And remember, Australia missed Pat Cummins, so they will be full guns blazing in that World Test Championship final against India. India, there has been a lot of positives with especially the likes of Shubman Gill drafted in as the opener in place of KL Rahul. So that's the biggest positive for me, which Shubman tried at an opening slot. So in all probability, he's going to make it to that opening slot along with Rohit Sharma. And talking about the bowlers, obviously, the fast bowlers were not that used in this series. Only 120 overs were bowled among all the three fast bowlers: Umesh, Shami, Siraj, and all of them together bowled 120 wickets and took 13 wickets in the series. So ideally, one would have hoped that the fast bowlers, but one would expect that the spinners would be given a better rope. So having said that, I think it will even Stevens as far as the World Test Championship final is concerned.
Okay, we will come to the World Test Championship in just about 5 odd minutes. But before that, I mean, there's plenty to talk about even as this series win goes. And let's celebrate this win, Joydeep. The only team that is making consecutive WTC finals. From 2016 on home soil, you are unbeatable. We don't often celebrate that. We obviously use the WTC, we use World Cups, but winning series after series takes a lot of hard work. Thoughts on the Indian dominance in bilateral series over the last 5-6 years?
Yeah, spot on. Especially in India, there are not too many teams in the world that can compete with us in these conditions. The only team that can give us a run for our money on these pitches is Pakistan, but we don't play them in bilateral series. Sri Lanka is not what they used to be. The spinners are not what they used to be. Can you imagine a Muttiah Muralidharan and a Chaminda Vas and a Rangana Herath on a wicket of the first 3 matches? You know, anybody's game. And with Mahela Jayawardene, Sangakkara and all batting. So that era is gone now. So that's the reason why India in these conditions, they're really dominating. And at any point in time, India is playing a lot of test matches at home. You would expect them to win 90-95% of those test matches, no matter who the opposition is, unless you make pitches like this. I was surprised by this pitch because a lot could have not gone India's way in this game. Had New Zealand lost the test match, had we lost this test match, had we not batted well on the third day morning when Shubman and Rohit batted against 480, the way had Rohit batted 186 with 6 or 7 boundaries, if all this hadn't happened, we could have lost this test match.
Okay, counter history, always something fascinating, but the truth is India has made it to the WTC final, and the only team, New Zealand was there last year, Australia this year. So India can take a lot of pride, Atreya Mukhopadhyay, from the fact that what they've achieved is quite significant. And even if they lose that final, of course, none of us want, none of us will hope, but even if whatever happens in that final, India's performance deserves credit. So let's not only talk about World Cups, not only the final. It takes a lot of doing to make the final as well. Atreyu.
See, India's track record at home, we all know. I mean, they have been unbeatable since they have been unbeaten since the loss to England in that series in 2012-13, Alistair Cook's team. After that, they have won every series at home. More than that, what we sometimes ignore is India has also probably been one of the better traveling sides. I mean, India has won in Australia. They were about to win that series in England when the last match got cancelled because of COVID, and they lost the rescheduled match. They lost. It became 2-2. They came close to beating South Africa. I mean, they won the first match, lost it 2-1. Only in New Zealand were they comprehensively beaten. So there are not too many sides who do well at home as well as away. So India, that also shows that why India has been one of the more consistent sides. I mean, they have not made the WTC final only because of their performance on home soil. They have travelled well. They have troubled the other teams. May not have won everywhere, but we see a definite improvement from what was the case in, say, about 5-6 years ago or 7 years ago. So they are they are the strongest side at home and one of the better, if not the best, travelling side as well.
I think he makes a very important point, Shubhan. A very, very important point about India travelling well. My question is, obviously in that Oval match, Australia will start favourites. Our boys will be playing the IPL. Within 7 odd days, you've got to play that Oval Test match. 30th May is when IPL ends, right? 28th May, 30th May, whatever it is. The Oval Test match starts the 7th of June, so you will have no time. Point is, why is it that the WTC final for consecutive years has to be in England? Why not in the subcontinent? You've got to rotate it. It's the WTC final, for God's sake. Who's given England the birthright to host that final? That's something that we've got to, because again, you've had it in England 1 year. You've got to mix conditions around. You cannot just have it in one country where one team gets benefit. New Zealand last year, Australia this year. Having said that, we are not one to complain. The Indian team doesn't complain about pitches. So thoughts about, now let's move to the WTC. Your thoughts on that before I go to Devashish and Bharat.
First of all, it has been a roller coaster ride for India in this WTC cycle. So many captain changes. Virat Kohli, it started from Virat Kohli, then came in Rohit Sharma. Jasprit Bumrah led the team. Rishabh Pant, I don't think he led the team, but yes, there have been multiple captains, multiple coaches, Ravi Shastri, Rahul Dravid. So India has done well in the transition phase as well. One would obviously have liked had India won it in England and South Africa, both winnable series in my opinion after the start they had. But one can't complain after making it to the WTC final. And this time around, many will say Australia will go as a favourite to the WTC final, given that their test players will have much more time to prepare. But in England conditions, I think India's pace attack can very well match the Australian pace attack there, even without Jasprit Bumrah. Yes, to your point, I completely agree that I find it very amusing that England are hosting this WTC final back to back. Maybe why not give it to Sri Lanka? Why not give it to some other countries? Give it to Australia, Melbourne Cricket Ground hosting a WTC final, or an Eden Gardens hosting a WTC final, or a Colombo hosting a WTC final. It will be a great occasion. And hopefully ICC will do something about it from the next cycle onwards, and we'll see some different venues apart from England. Okay, I get the history and everything, but yes.
I know you are itching to walk down Rockfall Bridge.
Next cycle is,
but what about the next
final? The final of the next cycle is also decided at Lords.
Okay, so, yes. They didn't get the first one. Yeah,
can't be changed.
They didn't get the first.
And let me come to India's dominance in recent years. Talking about overseas, it's because of the fast bowling strength. We have to accept, because of our fast bowling strength, that we have been so dominating overseas. Yes, you might argue that it was during Saurav Ganguly's era we started winning, but consistently dominating and winning overseas, it has to do with this era under Virat Kohli, when our fast bowlers started picking 20 wickets and winning test matches consistently, be it a Perth, be it a Centurion, be it England, they have done it elsewhere. Yes, I totally agree with Atreyu. it's New Zealand that we have not done well. It's that we were comprehensively being beaten, but elsewhere we could have easily won series everywhere.
Okay, Bharat, before I go to Joydeep, Indian fast bowlers versus Australian fast bowlers early June in English conditions. Juicy.
Yeah, it was juicy. The only point from Indian point of view that perhaps it doesn't go well from the Indian point of view is Mohammad Shami doesn't have a great record in English conditions, if you notice, and he's someone who tends to beat the bat a lot. I don't know. Some might say he's unlucky, but perhaps he was a tad short. And Umesh Yadav as well is perhaps not exactly suited to English conditions, but that's the only thing. Otherwise, India have a really good pace attack on an overall basis. But interesting to see how these fast bowlers adapt to English conditions.
Joydeep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very tough conditions, and I think it's going to be June early. I think Josh Hazelwood and everybody else, they'll be really a handful. I think biggest challenge for India will be they'll be playing, like you rightly said, an IPL. And for the bowlers, I think still you can get away because you can go and practice red ball, the test match specialist while the white ball is going on. But for the batters, in one game you're asking them to go and bat at 140 strike rate. A week later you're telling them to leave 100 balls and score 30. There's a flow to the batters. Some do it very quickly, but for someone like a Shubman Gill, once you're a Virat Kohli or a Rohit Sharma, you tend to be able to make the transition quicker. But when you haven't played the game for that long, that is the biggest challenge for Rahul Dravid in the team.
Joydeep,
In fact,
would you
Pujara
say-
not
would
playing.
you say-
Pujara,
would
yeah,
you-
yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, in fact, Pujara not playing IPL. Rahane not playing IPL are good things. If Rahane, I know, is not in the mix. I'm saying, but we'll have Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Surya all playing IPL. And then IPL comes in and Surya is now, Shreyas Iyer, his back is gone. So Surya is probably next in line. Surya is the white ball king. So, and you're not going to Indian conditions, you're going to English conditions. I'd like to differ a little bit from what Atreo said. I think in India, in test matches, we dominate totally. Abroad, we compete. We have only won in Australia. And we've lost in England, we've drawn in England, we've lost in New Zealand, we lost in South Africa. We haven't won any series. But we don't lose 4-0. We lose 1-0, we lose 2-1. So that gap has become less. And in India, we annihilate. So that ends up us being top two. We haven't really gone and won a series. We haven't become what West Indies was in the 70s, Australia was in the 90s.
But
We are not that
we
good.
won back-to-back Test series in Australia. How
Yeah,
can
that's
you?
what I
How
said,
can you? Yeah.
No, I'm saying except Australia, we have not won in England, we have not won in New Zealand, we have not won in South Africa. I'm saying dominance of what like a West Indies had in the 70s, Australia had in the 90s. I'm not
Point
belittling it. I'm
taken.
trying to
That's,
say
that's a valid point. That is a valid point.
That's
That the
right.
West Indian dominance or the Australian dominance of the late 90s, early 2000s. Atreo,
we compete now.
question
Before
is-
we used to lose 4-0, now we compete. Now
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
2-1,
And
1-0.
we compete well. We compete
Yeah,
well, and that point
exactly.
is also well
Yeah.
taken. Atreo, my
Yeah.
question is, somebody like Joydeep actually mentioned the two names, somebody like a Pujara or a Rahane, or people who are around who aren't playing the IPL, and even those who will not make the playoffs. There will be 6 teams who will not make the playoffs, whoever they are. Should they be sent the moment the playoffs are decided? Go 16 days, 17 days, acclimatize, practice, get ready for that red ball challenge. Do not wait because it's no longer COVID. You can fly in any time, start practicing thoughts. Some play county cricket also if possible. Atreo Mukhopadhyay.
20th is the last day of the group stage.
Yeah, I think I agree with you because we must optimize the time that we get. So the moment we see that person X or person Y is not involved in IPL any longer, we must, and they are likely to make the squad for the WTC final. They should be sent to England to get used to conditions and practice over there because white ball to red ball, it's not an easy transition to make. Condition wise, also it's going to be a huge change. So we must utilize that time to the best of our abilities and to the best of the players' abilities. Surya.
Okay, let me complicate this now, Shubhan Chakraborty. You don't have a Jasprit Bumrah. You don't have a Rishabh Pant. I don't know what about Shreyas Iyer. But let's come to the fast bowlers. What do you do with a Mohammad Shami and a Mohammad Siraj? Clearly, the two who will be of great value and relevance in England. How do you use them in the IPL? Will the BCCI try and have a word? Will the franchises play them every match? Will they be exhausted? What happens to these 2 or 3 fast bowlers? Because Australia, some of them will not play the IPL or go faster. You know, something will happen there. You will see Australia protecting their bowlers. What about India? There is franchise responsibility. There is the WTC.
That's a really tricky question and a very good question, because technically all the IPL franchises will have the complete right, complete control of the players they hold. So the BCCI really can't interfere, like don't play Jasprit Bumrah or don't play Mohammad Shami for these 4 matches. He needs a rest. You can't do that, because his franchisee will come and say, we have spent crores. We spent crores. He's a crucial bowler. We want to play every matches. We want to make it to the playoffs and final from there on. So it's a really tricky part. But yes, Joydeep.
Unless his team is already qualified or not qualified,
Yes.
then a request can come.
Yes, absolutely, and that is where the tricky part comes in, because, for example, if Royal Challengers Bangalore is fighting for the playoffs, and you suddenly say the WTC final is 2 weeks away, we want Mohammad Siraj to have a couple of days break, couple of matches break. RCB will say he's our key bowler. How can we rest him? So that is where the tricky part will come, and I think that is where the franchises will also have to take some responsibility and say, if they are in a comfortable position, they have qualified or almost qualified for the playoffs, they might rest a key player who is almost certain to play in this WTC final. Coming to the wicket keeping slot and Shreyas Iyer. First of all, Shreyas Iyer will be fit by then, but it will be a huge challenge for Shreyas Iyer in English conditions. So far, he has done extremely well in Indian conditions, but in English conditions, it will be a fresh one, a new one for him. Keeping wise, KS Bharat, we have seen him drop catches. We have seen him do a bit of misfield or scuffling a few chances there. For him, it will be a big challenge. But most importantly, there's a KL Rahul again. If he continues to keep in IPL, he might say, I am ready for that number 5, number 6 slot if you want to put me in. And given the reliability on KL Rahul from this Indian team management, I wouldn't be surprised if KL Rahul makes it to the playing 11. But a really tricky call between KS Bharat and KL Rahul for that wicket keeping slot, and also that workload thing.
No Jasprit Bumrah. So who's your 5? If I can ask you, your 5 pace quartet plus 1, is it Shardul Thakur who comes in? Obviously Siraj, Shami, both of us know. Umesh Yadav, we know. Who's the 5 according to you?
Jaydev.
Perhaps be
And Joydeep in his morning preview has really put up an interesting prospect by saying if we can manage Hardik Pandya for 1 match.
That's a fantastic point. I would have come to that.
Yes,
But now that you mentioned that,
Shardul
Jaydev, is Jaydev also part of the mix? And because of left arm, oval, Bharat Ramraj?
Yeah, Unadkat can also be in the mix. I think he's increased yard of pace. He has added a yard of pace, and he seems to have a decent short ball now. In the past, he used to ball at around 80 miles per hour. Now I see he bowls at around 85 mph. So he's added a yard of pace. He gets a little bit of movement on day 1 at the Oval. We saw that in the 2018 Test series as well at the Oval, or for the matter in 2021. On day 1, you will get a little bit of sea movement. So any pace bowler gets a little bit of wobble, can do well. So Unadkat seemed to get a little bit of wobble in that first test, in the second test in Bangladesh. And Shardul Thakur also has a 3/4 seam ball, and as does Mohammad Siraj. Both have 3/4 seam ball. That they might get a little bit of wobble there. So Unadkat definitely, I think, should go, because he has done well in Indian domestic cricket, and yes, he seems to have added a yard of pace.
Okay. Devashish Sen, before I go to Joydeep, this is a very interesting point that Joydeep has thrown into the mix, which Shubhan mentioned. Can we get Hardik Pandya to step in for that one-off test match? It's a final, for God's sake.
It's a huge ask. I would say for if you are in Hardik's shoes, I would say it's a bit difficult for him as well. That's firstly, and we all know that Hardik won a test match for India in Nottingham, in Trent Bridge. He won a test match for India in Trent Bridge. He had an outstanding, and he could be handy in those conditions when the ball seams and swings. But for Hardik, he's leading the Gujarat Titans team in the IPL, as you have rightly mentioned. And suddenly, in a week's time, you go and play a Test match, and that too in a World Test Championship final. That would be asking too much from him. But when you have someone like a Shardul Thakur who has done well in England. Remember the series that we before that Test match was cancelled in Old Trafford. Shardul was one of the best performers for India in those conditions, and he is handy with the bat as well, the lower middle order. So I, for one, if you ask me who would be your five go-to bowlers, I would stick with Mohammad Shami, Mohammad Siraj, Shardul, and the two spinners, Ashwin and Jadeja.
Okay, Joydeep, your point.
Yeah, I think Jaidev Unadkar, I've seen a lot of him in red ball cricket. I think he's ready to play. Two, three reasons. One, he bowls long spells. He's a really seasoned campaigner now. He's a left-arm seamer. He can bat. He can take the pressure. He really knows how to play, get batters out. He's a seasoned campaigner. For me, Shardul is a bit of a hit and miss. He can have good days and bad days. I think Jaidev is more consistent. So I would love to see Shiraj, Sami, and Jaidev. So your batting gets strong with Jaidev out there, and I would love to see Hardik Pandya play one Test match, Walklet and all, World Test Championship. So once in a year, once you might not be in the next few ones.
That's a good point to go to Akshay. Akshay, world champion Hardik Pandya keeps telling me every time we've spoken, he wants to win a world championship. This is his chance. How many times will you play a world championship final?
Well, if it's Hardik, he probably. He was talking about the white ball formats. I don't know because ideally, in an ideal world, yes. Nothing like that. If you get Hardik for that one-off test, the kind of bowling ability and batting ability he brings to the table, is an asset, no doubt about that. But will he be able to do that? That's the question because he hasn't played Test cricket in a long time. I agree with Joydeep that it's just one match. So what about workload? Yes, but there will be a lot of work for him in the IPL. And whether the team management or the fitness management wing of the Indian team, they are looking at him as a red ball prospect. All those things will have to be seen because we don't know. He hasn't played any long format cricket for a long time, not even Ranji Trophy. So whether he's in a condition to last 5 days is something that we have to see. Because
But Hardik Pandya has always said that he will return to Test cricket when he feels the time is right.
Is it the right time? Is the question.
Yeah. 9, 10, 11, Jaidev Unadkar, Siraj, Shami. Okay? Shardul will play at 8. 8 is Ashwin. 6, 7, there's Hardik in the mix. There's a keeper in the mix. For me, the keeper is Ishan Kishan. He's a game-changing player. For me, you need somebody who's a game-changing player. Seaming conditions, you want somebody who will come and play shots. He's a gun keeper, and he can bat for an hour and throw you off your comfort zone. He's, with all due respect to KS Bharat, I feel the future is Ishan Kishan. It's just a matter of time till Rishabh Pant gets fit, of course.
Okay, Bharat Ramraj, Ishan Kishan. And do you play the two spinners in Ashwin and Jadeja, or do you go with one of them?
In June, I think India should go with only one spinner. As far as KS Bharat versus Ishan Kishan is concerned, KS Bharat, whatever I've seen, if I go back in time to 2018 when he was playing in South Africa, they brought a decent pace attack. That Hendrik Nortje is someone who really batted well against Hendrik Nortje, pulled him, and he looked good. Even if you go back to the time when he played first for Andhra, when he played first Ranji Trophy, he was opening the batting. So he's someone, I think he's better against pace than spin bowling from whatever little I've seen. Let it be in IPL, let it be in the Ranji Trophy, or for the matter when he played for India. So if that gives him an edge, it's not for me to say, but I feel he deserves one chance there because I feel compared to batting and spin, he's better against fast bowling.
Okay, after getting Ishan Kishan Test debut, World Test Championship finals sounds a little surreal, but Joydeep has put it into the mix. Your thoughts on that?
It's going to be a tough call because Bharat makes some useful observations that he is better against fast bowlers than spin. That's what he looked like. In Ahmedabad, he was much more comfortable against the faster bowlers over here for a brief period. But having said that, the way he kept wickets in this match, I'm not talking about dropped catches. First innings he dropped a dolly. Probably the second innings catches were a little tougher. But even otherwise, he fumbled a few times, more than a few times he fumbled. I mean, those were routine collections which he couldn't gather. So he's keeping probably, and in England, keeping against the fast bowlers is a vital factor. Anything catching behind the wicket, be it the wicketkeeper or the slip cordon, it's a vital factor for a team to do well. So I'm not sure if Bharat has fulfilled expectations. Having said that, it's going to be a bit of a gamble. WTC final, handing Ishan Kishan a debut. So it's a tricky call. I mean, I don't want to be a selector in this case.
Okay. Astro doesn't want to be a selector. Some more white beard. Who knows? He'll look more charismatic and more attractive. That's for a different day. Shubhan Chakraborty, who would have you gone with? One spinner, two spinners, KS Bharat, Ishan Kishan?
I think we are again back to 2018 now. Ravichandran Ashwin versus Ravindra Jadeja, who gets into the team. But it's going to be a really tricky call. Ravichandran Ashwin with the bat has improved a lot. He has shown multiple occasions that he can bat. He's an all-rounder, not just a specialist spinner. So it will be a very tricky call. But I think I'll go with four pacers, including one of Shardul Thakur and then one spinner in Ravichandran Ashwin. Coming to the other thing, I think KS Bharat, I think he will, going by Rahul Dravid's template of backing players, I think KS Bharat is going to make it to the final. If not, then I am seeing KL Rahul as the secondary option, not Ishan Kishan for now. I'm not seeing any debutants playing in this WTC final.
Devashish Sen, thoughts? I'll give Joy.
Yeah, I also support Shubhan's view. I don't think because when Rahul Dravid is at the helm, he doesn't tinker with his playing 11 too much. So for me, even if Bharat has not done well in this test match, but still, I for one see him playing that World Test Championship final. As far as the two spinners debate is concerned, I don't see India going in with two spinners. But if India does, then obviously there are no options then to play with both Jadeja and Ashwin. But Hardik Pandya, I don't know. I really don't know.
That's just a food for thought. That's just a food for thought, Hardik Pandya.
Joydeep, who has said that the wicket in England has to favor the seamers and it'll be a green top? I mean, you need not. It's the World Test Championship final. Try and prepare a wicket which is relatively a docile, comparatively, I'm saying, a batting track. That'll help India. Ultimately, it's a final with two neutral teams. So come on. I mean, that's something that the ICC will have to keep in mind. It's not home advantage. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my experience with wickets in England is in May and June, it's a bit spicy. It's after about mid-July when the summer really comes out that it starts. And with the wear and tear of county cricket week in, week out, that it starts to slow down. Now we know that Surrey is the only sort of spinning track in the country. That's where every spinner goes and plays. But having said that, it's always the fifth test match, the fourth test match of the series, never the first or the second. The first is in Nottingham, the second was in Headingley. So if you look at it that way, I still feel it'll be a good batting wicket, but it'll favor seam more than spin, is all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying it's going to be a green top, you can't put bat on ball wicket, but there'll be more for the fast bowlers. And, you know, we've gone back and forth with Hardik and it's come out of nowhere. But I'm just saying, just to be able to play 8, 9, 10 fast bowlers, play two spinners and play Hardik as a batter who is your fourth seamer and two spinners is something you can look at. I know it's far-fetched, but it gives you a lot more options. Hardik playing means a proper batter playing right now. And then you have somebody who, if you want, he's a fourth seamer. Then you're playing your two spinners, out of which one has got 5 test match hundreds, and you've got 3 fast bowlers. So you're getting properly bolstered, and it's one off. So you can be told, Hardik can be told now, we are thinking of you. You manage yourself. He's the captain. He'll decide when he bowls for Gujarat. He will decide his workload management, knowing that he has to play those 5 days. And in England, 5-day test match is not like playing in Ahmedabad in 40 degrees. It's a lot easier on the body. It's a lot easier. So he will know it's a one-off. This opportunity might not again come for the next couple of years. And Hardik Pandya could be the man of the match in that. And he will say, I went back and played test cricket and won India the WTC.
You know what? Hardik Pandya is someone I know well. Hardik Pandya is somebody during his recuperation or when he was convalescing from injury, he and I used to talk almost every morning at 5:30 a.m. when he used to go for training. He is one who loves the stage. He is one who loves the big occasion. I know it's far-fetched. I know it's all of that, but don't put it past Hardik Pandya because he's one of those fellows who will want to accept the challenge. And if he gets to sort of this whole World Cup, world title, world trophy thing in his head, you will see him try to push his body. Again, it's a one-off. It's your chance to script history and script something that generations will talk about, seeking immortality. Yes, Shubhan Chakraborty, last word.
And Hardik Pandya can dream of a three-peat as well. WTC Final, ODI World Cup at home, and then the next T20 World Cup in West Indies and America, most likely under his captaincy. So he can dream of that three-peat as well.
Okay, the dream lives on. That's the word. I mean, India once again making it to the WTC final, 2-1 victors of the Border-Gavaskar trophy, and very justly so. I mean, they played quality cricket. Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid, many congratulations. Virat Kohli back in form. Shubman Gill cementing his place. Ravichandran Ashwin once again proving how great a bowler he is. Ravindra Jadeja coming to the party. Akshar Patel with the bat. Plenty of positives for India coming out of this series. Australia will take heart from the fight in Ahmedabad and the win in Indore. Stephen Smith once again establishing himself as a leader of that pack. Pat Cummins will be back. They will go in as favorites. Can't wait. Can't wait. Yes, the IPL is there, but the WTC is special. Devashish Sen, start thinking about that walk down Vauxhall. All of us will be there. We'll celebrate together. Hopefully, a fantastic WTC final awaits. You know, Indian cricket is all about this. The big stage, the big moments, the big games. And today is one of those days.
And don't count out the Indian fans. I think it will
Absolutely.
be like a sea of
It'll be a
blue.
home match. It'll be a home
It will be a
match.
home match. It will be
There
a
is no debate that oval ground will be India. All India. I mean, you will see blue paint. You will see that face color. People will come out of that oval station and turn next onto that Hobbs Gate, and it'll all be India. And we'll all be there. We'll all be there. We've got to plan this well. We've got to plan this well from Rev Sports so that we'll take a temporary studio to England with this entire panel if need be. Akshay, you have the last word. Go for it.
Last time India played Australia and England, it was at the Oval. The World Cup 2019.
19.
And Shikhar Dhawan got 100.
95% Indian supporters and 5% Australian supporters.
Correct.
It was
And correct. That Shikhar Dhawan 100, Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Virat Kohli, that innings, what an incredible. And then Bhuvaneshwar Kumar coming back, and then Shikhar Dhawan having that fracture on his finger and coming back. We don't want to think about it. What we want to think about is the win. On that note, we've got a 40-minute showdown. Time has flown past because we are celebrating India. We are celebrating yet another series win. Thank you to all my panelists. Back at 7 p.m. with the WPL. You know, after last night, it's becoming 4-3-2-1-0 in the...
I think, yes, it's that.
Let's close this particular show on that note. Joydeep Mukherjee, Shubhan Chakraborty, Devashish Sen, Bharat Ramraj, Bharat awaiting your piece. After awaiting your piece, let's have some good writing flowing. We've already got one out around tea break. So let's have some good writing going on the Indian victory. Love it. Love working with this bunch on Rev Sports. Thank you very much, all of you. Joydeep Da, Shubhan, Devashish, Atreya and Bharat and our back-end team. What a fabulous bunch to work with. Thank you very much for watching.